Hey all, this is Alex Johnson with Grindfest Outdoors. My channel on YouTube focuses on do-it-yourself waterfowl, and I also have videos here on my products that I sell through my company. I do premium coated steel cable waterfowl rigging in a lot of different varieties, from 2 ounces all the way up to 12 ounces. This year I've got a brown and a green available. Hit subscribe. If you're subscribed to this channel and you make a comment below, I'll be giving a dozen of these out as soon as this video hits 1,000 likes. So what we're doing today is that we're doing a speed test, and we're doing a prop selection video for this beaver dam mud runner on an old 1232 Sears Game Fisher. The motor and the boat itself only weighs about 200 pounds with gas in it. And so it's a 65-inch shaft. I love this small motor, 6.5 horsepower Predator 212. I built this about 2 years ago and painted it. You can check out a video on my site. And we're going to be going through a variance of different prop sizes. Robert Millman with Beaver Dam was able to get me out a bunch of different props for this video. And every single section of this video is me using that and speed testing the prop size. So the long and short of it is that if you own a longtail, you're probably not going to have the exact same boat as mine, but it is going to make an enormous difference in the performance of your engine if you have the right prop on it. And really the only way to do that is you can get an idea from this video, and then also you're going to have to buy a few props. If it's a Thai longtail kit, you're going to be able to get them for about 15 bucks a piece. That's because they're aluminum props. So hang around, we'll do this video, I'll come back at the end and we'll talk about what worked and why it worked, and then what didn't and why it didn't work. So hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. So this is the boat, 1232 John. Here's the Beaver Dam mud runner. I painted this up. There's a video online, just look at my site. Got my favorite corn-free gasoline. I recommend putting corn-free in all your small engines. And these are the props that we're going to test out. So we've got a 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5 inch standard prop. These are aluminum. And then we've got also aluminum, a 6.5, 7, and a 7.5 inch weedless. Now these are supposed to not run quite as fast, but they are supposed to be a little bit more sturdy. One of the benefits to doing this way is it costs a lot of money for a steel prop. So these are like 15 bucks a piece. You can order a bunch of them for your boat and for your motor and see what runs best, and then order that. They do break occasionally. I think the idea being that since there's no shear pin on a long tail like this, if the prop didn't break, then you could break the drive shaft or the coupler that goes on in there, and that's a much more expensive problem than having a aluminum prop break. So we're going to start off with all the standard props, work our way up from 6.5 inch, and then we'll go back through with the weedless props, and we'll do a speed test. You're going to try to run for about 1/3 of a mile on each prop and get our max speed and our average speed. And then I'll come back around at the end and we'll talk about kind of what I think about this particular boat and explain maybe what you should do for selecting a prop for your boat. All right, so I got the 6.5 inch prop on here and the engine's all warmed up. Let's see how this goes. Dragon ass. with the 6.5 inch prop. I didn't expect this one to be the best. I thought it would be a little bit too small, but I got 11 miles an hour top speed with 8.65 average. And I'm running all these tests at roughly a 1/3 mile. So we're gonna go to the 7-inch standard prop. 7-inch prop. In performance of this 7-inch. You can also see how it's spitting up a little bit more water in the back. Oh, by the way, I'm not needing to hold this down very hard into the water. Easier to get up on plane and going faster already. You can see how the prop sits in the middle of the wake. That's right where you want your tail to go. So immediate jump in performance with the 7-inch prop. We had a 9.6 average and a 11.9 miles per hour max speed. Jump to the 7.5. All right, we got a longtail runner here. You know that sucks. 7.5 inch prop. Immediately started spinning a rooster tail. Way better. That's actually starting to get fun here. So I just want to point out something. So this prop is, I don't know, we'll see what the 8-inch does, but significantly better on plane right away. And I'm going to show you where this prop should be sitting in the water with your weight. This 65-inch prop is just about ideal for this 32-inch wide John. Probably would be good for a 36-inch wide boat too, but it's important to be for optimal performance to get your prop right in the back of the wake here. We got a 12.1 average miles per hour, 14.5 top speed, and you see in the video where the prop is sitting right along the top of the water. It's supposed to be a surface piercing prop, they call it, and it's starting to spit out that rooster tail. You'll see. Let's see what happens when we jump to the 8-inch prop, baby! Pushing this thing down. So with the 8-inch prop, we got a 12.46 average speed and a 14.4 top speed. So just a slight increase. What I'm noticing with this prop is it's bouncing a little bit on the water. So we'll see how the 8.5 inch goes. I don't think we're going to notice much of a increase in speed, but we'll see what happens. So an 8-inch prop is the top end on this Predator 212 unmodified. Well, we got a 9.96 average and a 12.7 top end. It took a lot more effort to get it up on the plane, and it kind of bogged down the engine, and I couldn't get the RPMs high enough to give it optimal performance. So if it had more power, I'm sure that this prop would do better, but where we're at now, I think a 7.5 inch is probably my favorite prop, and an 8 being the second on the top of that. So now we're going to run the weedless props. I got a 6.5, 7, and a 7.5 inch weedless, and we'll see how those go. 6.5, here we go. Floating around in there, not bad though, better than the normal or standard 6.5. Well, the 6.5 inch weedless is very different than the 6.5 inch standard. 11.06 average and a 13.7 top speed. I don't know why. I'm gonna email Robert Milner after this and ask him some questions, but I've tested that 6.5 2 times. I've been out here, and it's the same kind of thing. It's the 6.5 inches, a no-go on this boat. But for some reason, the 6.5 inch weedless performed way better. I think it's higher. It functions higher up in the water, closer to the surface. But let's see what the 7 inch and the 7.5 inch weedless do. 7 inch weedless. So 11.32 average and a 12.7 on the 7 inch weedless. And it's a little less torquey, but a better kind of overall average, I would say. Let's see what this 7.5 inch weedless does next. It's a 7.5 inch weedless prop. RPMs don't quite want to get high enough. It's kind of bouncing on the water a little bit. Likes to fall out of the wake, kind of. My motor's not perfectly centered, but that shouldn't really be that big of a deal. So with the 7.5-inch weedless prop, what seems to happen is I kind of get some of that bouncing off the water effect that I was getting with the, a little bit with the 8, but definitely with the 8.5-inch standard. And but what is happening is it kind of starts to fall out of the wake, and then I lose power, and I'm just not getting the RPMs high enough to really get the performance out of the engine that I want. So as it stands, for this particular setup, my number one choice is going to be the 7.5-inch standard prop, with the 6.5-inch weedless prop as a close second. I've broken a few props in Minnesota. You know, I go pretty hard, and I'll go even when there's ice out on the lake, and I'll break props then. And I've not tried a weedless prop. I'm going to this year in that condition, and we'll see what happens. But probably, given the fact that I hunt in Minnesota and that I get some, I get that ice, you know, even a 1/4 inch of ice, 1/8 to 1/4 inch of ice, I'll get these chunks that'll break off and then snap my prop. And so I think what I would keep on this boat with this particular setup is the 6.5-inch weedless, given that. And I'm going to be doing modifications though to this engine. I'm going to do a stage 1, and it's going to come back around, and I'll probably be done with it in a month. I'll do the install, and then the testing. I'm going to test all these props again on the upgraded engine. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hit subscribe if you want to see the next video.